Now that we've got some of the basic functions of Autodesk Inventor down, let's see if we can figure out how to make a few basic parts. So first thing is we need to set it up to make our parts. We need to create a new project. When we save things for the project, we need to make sure that we save those on our computers on the Thawspace. Our computers in the classroom are set to restart, and when they restart, they're going to wipe everything except for the Thawspace clean. So anything that you've done, anything that you've added, unless it's put into Thawspace, will be wiped out and start over clean each day. So I don't have access to a Thawspace on my computer, but I have set up a folder on my desktop that will look similar to what you'll see. So the Thawspace, I've got the T. Notice we don't have the colons after it. We don't have the drive, the actual drive letter designation such as we would have here, but that's as close as I could get it. So inside of Thawspace, you're going to want to create a new folder and give it your name. So I'm just going to go ahead and set a folder up with my name on it. The downside to this is that that folder is created with my name, but that is totally open to anybody that gets on this computer. So make sure that you are courteous of those that you share the computer with, and they'll be courteous of you. So now we've got that created. We're going to go in, we're going to go to File, and we are going to create a new project. So we're going to go New, and we're going to come down here and go to Projects, and we're going to say New, Single User Project. Your project name, you could name it whatever. So we could do start off with something such as Basic Models. When we go through and we start making other projects, we'll want to label that project based upon what we're doing, so we keep everything together. So I'm going to go, and I had that on my desktop, so we're going to find that on my desktop. It was labeled as Thawspace. And labeled with my name, so I'm going to choose that folder. Now it shows where the path is. It's going to create that project automatically inside of that folder. So you notice there it is, my name, basic model, and we're going to be able to finish at that point. And now it has created a project name called basic model, and it's put it in that location. So then we can, at that point, we can click done. So at this point we can actually create a new part. We can go ahead and get out of this, or we already are in the parts manual setup, so we go in here to standard.ipt would be our part that we'd want to create. It's going to ask us for a couple more options as we go into this to show what we're going to do. But we have to figure out what we're going to do at this point. It won't let us do any drawings out here. We don't have anything pulled up, so we're going to start a new 2D sketch. Everything's going to start with a 2D sketch. You notice it gives us planes, an XY, a YZ, and an XZ plane. So we're going to choose the XY plane. We have a point of origin. The point of origin will be the same between all of those planes. It would be a 0, 0, 0 coordinate system if we were to actually look at that. So at this point we can do several things. We can create lines. We can automatically create some primitive shapes. We can check and see what we'd like to do. So we're going to notice, just starting with a line, we're going to go ahead and start. And I'm going to start from the origin. Because I clicked on the origin, it's going to set a coincident constraint with the origin. You're also going to notice we're seeing some constraints show up. So down at the bottom you can see there's an automatic constraint. You also notice that we've got some heads-up display happening. We have a number, 0.264, showing up highlighted in blue. So we can automatically pick what size we'd like for that to be. We can hit tab, and it'll give us another option to actually see what angle we would like to go with that. If we would like to get this to where we can actually see it a little better, we can roll our mouse wheel to zoom quickly, or you can go back and use the function keys. You'll notice now it has our degrees. If we bring it down right with the line, it'll show you a coincident constraint. That should actually show you the parallel constraint down below, or the horizon constraint, depending upon where you're at. So we've got the constraint showing up down below, the horizontal line constraint, because we don't have any other lines there yet. So if we click, we go ahead and left click, it will automatically make that. We are still in the line tool, so we can bring this back up and it'll give us another option. If we look now, you're going to notice it shows us a size, and it also shows us the angle. So if we wanted to leave it at that size, we could leave it that size. We could say 0.5, we could tab over, Notice it gives an angle of 90 degrees. We're going to go and leave that 90 degrees. If we left click or hit enter, either one, they will actually allow us to make that line. At this point, if we would like, notice if we were to bring this down, it's going to show perpendicular constraints. If we don't want it really to be perpendicular, if we would like something more like, we really want it to be parallel with this line, if we come down here and kind of rub down here on this line and pull it back up, you're going to notice that now it has changed and it's a parallel constraint rather than a perpendicular. However you would like to do it, sometimes you'll want one, sometimes you'll want the other. So if we wanted to go back and make it into our perpendicular, now you notice I went over and rubbed on that line, not clicking on anything, just kind of running around there by touching it. Now it goes back into my perpendicular. What I would like to do is go ahead and make this come across up here somewhere. And just make an angle. And I'm just going to go ahead and make this angle go off to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this structure out. To enclose it, now we've got an enclosed structure. Anytime you're trying to make a three-dimensional object out of your two-dimensional sketches, you've got to have a fully enclosed structure in order for that to go into 3 dimensions. So at this point, we have a basic object. We can say finish sketch. And if we'd like for it to zoom in the window, we can actually go up to home like we were using before. It'll show us in the home window and it'll zoom to fit to where it's easier to see. At this point we have several options we can do. We can extrude this, and you're going to notice it'll automatically give us a few more options. We can extrude it out, we can extrude it back, we can extrude it in both directions, or we could choose one direction more than the other if we would like to. It depends on what you're needing to do. In this instance it really doesn't matter. We're just going to go back with it and leave it there. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this out and show you a couple other options we can do. We can actually revolve that, make a little different shape. If we want to revolve that shape, we choose our shape, we choose our axis of rotation, and now we're going to have to zoom out a little bit, but we've got some kind of a bowl shape here. If we chose a different way to revolve that, so rather than choosing that axis, let's choose the bottom axis, we end up with something like a nose cone. If we were to revolve it on a different edge, like say the slant, then we end up with a little bit different shape. So depending upon what we're needing, we've got several options in order to make those rotations and make things look a little different. So it all depends upon what we really need. At this point on this one, straighten it back up, I would like to go and extrude that out into 3-dimensional shape.